belonged. The Afghan nation saw Shuja in a different light, but this inconvenient fact was ignored by the Foreign Secretary, Lord Palmerston, who agreed to Auckland's proposal, known as the Simla Manifesto. Thus the stage was set for the First Anglo-Afghan War and one of Britain's greatest military humiliations. Towards the end of 1838, Britain's Army of the Indus was assembled in Lahore, consisting of almost 10,000 British soldiers and 6,000 soldiers loyal to Shah Shuja. The typical British officer of Victoria's earlier years did not travel light and insisted on bringing with him all the luxuries of the officers' mess. Thus the troops were accompanied by 38,000 camp followers, cooks, butlers, valets, and servants, together with 30,000 camels to carry all the essentials of a military expedition: wine, brandy, cigars, perfume, soap, bed linen, and luxurious food. Add to this enough cattle, sheep, and goats to feed the expedition for 3 months, together with the herdsmen to look after the beasts and the butchers to slaughter them. By July 1839, this huge, cumbersome train of soldiers and personnel had reached the fortress city of Ghazni in eastern Afghanistan, southwest of Kabul. Along the way, the soldiers had seen off numerous gangs of marauding Afghan tribesmen, but Ghazni presented the first obstacle on the way to Kabul, capital of Afghanistan. The British stormed the walled city, massacred 500 of its inhabitants, and secured fresh provisions. The route to Kabul now lay ahead, within easy reach. As the convoy approached Kabul, Dost Muhammad fled. The British entered the city unopposed, placed Shah Shuja on the throne, and congratulated themselves on a job well done. Having sent most of the army back to India, the remainder settled down to a life of indolence and luxury. They sent for their wives and families and enjoyed cricket, horse racing, music, and dancing, while the local Afghans looked on with growing disdain. Sir William Hay Macnaghten was appointed Minister of Kabul, with Sir Alexander Burnes his second-in-command. After a year, Macnaghten decided that their situation was secure enough to move out of the capital and set up a settlement, or cantonment, a mile north. It was a decision of staggering foolishness. Surrounded by aggrieved locals, the cantonment was separated from the city by an expanse of orchards, gardens, and canals, which, in an emergency, would hamper the movement of horses and men. The perimeter was too long to defend, and the stores of provisions were situated a quarter of a mile outside the cantonment. A second British garrison had been stationed at Jalalabad, 90 miles east. In order to secure the routes between the cities, the British paid the local tribesmen who controlled the dangerous mountain passes for the guarantee of a safe passage. But in an effort to save money, Macnaghten cut the payment by half. Furious, the tribesmen plundered the first caravan to pass through. Macnaghten's economy drive had, in effect, cut the Kabul garrison off from Jalalabad. The growing resentment of the local Afghans finally erupted in November 1841, when a mob attacked the British residency situated within Kabul. Its resident, Sir Alexander Burnes, tried to placate the screaming crowds, and, having failed, attempted to make his escape alongside his brother. Both men were soon caught and hacked to death in a frenzied attack. The newly appointed military commander in Kabul, General William Elphinstone, an elderly and poorly man, crippled with gout, responded by doing nothing. His lack of action merely encouraged the Afghans, and while Elphinstone dithered, trying to decide on the best course of action, the Afghans seized the precious store of provisions that lay outside the British cantonment and proceeded to lay siege to the isolated outpost. By December, food supplies were so low that the livestock had to be fed on their own dung. With the temperature plummeting and led by a commander unable to command, the situation looked perilous. Elphinstone did finally order a batch of cavalry out to subdue the locals, but the mission failed, which only added to the misery within the camp. With food supplies down to the last 4 days and morale shattered, Elphinstone